Hey guys, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from all of us here at ToyWorldOrder.com. You know, last year I started a tradition that I stole actually out of a page of my buddy Pixel Dan's playbook. Every year at Christmas time, he presents a walkthrough of his collection to kind of give people an idea of what's changed, what's been added, stuff, you know, cool stuff that's there. So this year I continued the tradition with my second year in a row, my collection walkthrough. This year I'm going to show you some stuff I didn't show you last year. I'm going to show you some cool stuff that's kind of hiding around here, and just give you an idea of just how much things have changed in the past year. So come join me as I grab the camera and take you on a guided tour of what is down here behind me in the Devall Man Cave, or Toy Cave. I'll go with Toy Cave. Yeah, we'll go with Toy Cave. So come join me. I'm gonna come around to the back of the camera there and pick y'all up, and we're gonna go on a ride together. So let's check out what is down here, because there's some cool stuff down here. Here I come. I'm coming around the corner. Yeah, all right. Look at this basement. It's so full of stuff. All right. And of course, as you come down the stairs, on your left, as you walk down the stairs, there's a wall full of animation cells, from animation cells and original production drawings, from Real Ghostbusters to Back to the Future to Alvin and the Chipmunks to Masters of the Universe to She-Ra Princess of Power to Filmation Ghostbusters, which is one of the coolest ones I own, Bravestarr, that's a cool Bravestarr there, Raggedy Ann and Andy, Pinocchio. Let's see, there's an Alf thing. You know, there's one for Alf here, and then behind Alf is actually a production drawing from the original Sailor Moon anime. So some really cool animation cells. Let's take a look at the shelf right next to them. So immediately following all the animation cells here, you come across this really cool display cabinet, and up on top there I've displayed a lot of my color form sets. So we got a Real Ghostbusters deluxe set, and a Bert and Ernie and Miss Piggy, and there's a Michael Jackson set back there, and a Dukes of Hazzard and Chips and Crash Test Dummies, and Dick Tracy, my buddy Alex Pasquale sent me, as well as some busts. Now I apologize for some of the dust down here, because I did not get a chance to deep clean the basement this year due to some issues going on in the house. But on the second shelf down, you get a look at some of my just a lot of random action figures. There's a Josie and the Pussycats back there, and a Sideshow Buffy hiding in the corner, and a bunch of a Gatchaman Battle of the Planets 12-inchers, and V the Visitor and Trigun, and my very cool Inspector Gadget, and a few members of the Mego Happy Days family there, and the very cool Max FX, Freddy Krueger, and of course the Captain Action and Dr. Evil figures, as well as the New York Comic Con coloring book from last year, and some more busts. You know, some G.I. Joe busts, some more Transformer busts. My ElfQuest laser cut statue from, I think that was like had to have been 98, 99 when I bought that, so it's been around for a long time. And then you get down one more shelf down, and you come across my my Real Ghostbusters and my 12-inch Mattel Matty Collector Ghostbusters. So I've got all four main Ghostbusters there. I've got the two Ghostbusters 2 variants, and then of course the Real Ghostbusters figures, the ones they released, and the Firehouse is back there. Slimer is back there too, but he has fallen. He used to sit on top of the sign, and I think he's fallen and tumbled off somewhere behind everyone. So, and then down on the bottom shelf we get a couple things from Miss Devall there. We get a Mickey Mouse, a very cool old school Tapatoon, as well as some little some preschool toys that people have sent us. Brent Scarano and our friend Alex Pasquale sent us those, so those are pretty cool. And then you move on here. We've got some Disney puzzles hiding in there, and then over here, let me open these doors here and get a look inside here. This is where the top shelf here are these two cabinets. The top shelf is some of our random Disney stuff, DuckTales figures, and some porcelain dolls, some classic Mickey collections from Applause, and Mickey, Goofy, and Minnie, and then some Squeak toys. And then you come down here to say, you know, you've got the Mickey's Christmas Carol stuffed animals from McDonald's, and then just a ton of little Disney stuff, from playing cards to buttons to the very cool Mickey's Christmas Carol figures that were out. Just a ton of small PVC figures, lots of Goofy stuff. Lots of random vintage Disney stuff. All of the serial premiums for the Disney afternoon, from DuckTales to Darkwing Duck to Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. Just some, Tailspin, some cool stuff there. And then down here we've got a number of the old Marks blown plastic figures of Pluto and Jiminy Cricket and Mickey, Donald, Dopey. There we've got some great. Some other great vintage Disney stuff, some Kingdom Hearts figures down there, and of course a baby Pluto and some baby Goofies there. And then you roll down here into this shelf here. As I move the camera, it's going to be a little bouncy here, guys. You move down here and you get to see more of our little Disney PVCs and the little collections. A lot of porcelain Disney stuff there on that top shelf, and of course a whole collection of Sears used to give out these, and I think they still do, these Mickey snow globes every year at Christmas time on Black Friday. So I would get one of those every year, which was kind of cool. And a bunch of these little Disney characters here are actually from a train set, and that I actually have the train set, but these are the little figures from that train set, and they would go on the little rides and stuff. And we got a couple different ones in varying degrees of shape there. And then down here we've got some Lilo and Stitch stuff, as well as some Beauty and the Beast, some Wreck-It Ralph stuff. And you go down farther and you get a bunch of Pez and some more great little Disney stuff down here. And then down here you get a lot of cool buttons. So there's a lot of cool buttons, like the honorary volunteer, vintage Disneyland buttons, some really cool stuff. The San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Mattel Buzz Lightyear back there, the little figure. And then you get some more Disney stuff down here on the bottom shelf here. Some really cool vintage wind-up figures, a lot of vintage stuff down there, which is most of it's from my childhood, which is kind of cool. So it's pretty cool. And then alongside here, as we come up, you get this great classic Disneyland game that's a little, almost like a little tabletop pinball game that's attached to the wall there, so you can kind of get a look at it. When you get up here, you get this great Disney fold-away play world, which is cool. The tray no longer works in there, but it's all complete, and it looks pretty good. It's a neat display piece, and then as well some of the other light-up drawing desk, and a Disneyland Barbie, and Shapes and Sizes game, and some cool Muppet stuff, and some great little Minnie and Me toys. So some cool stuff there. Let's move on from the Disney stuff. Now, some of the coolest Disney stuff we have is actually in these two cases behind me. In here are some really great vintage Disney items, as well as some collector glasses and amongst some other great stuff. But before we get to the cabinet, I want to show you what's underneath the cabinet, as there's a couple of opening drawers, which are just off camera here. But down here, I can dig some of it out here, is some really cool, there's a bunch of, a lot of lunch boxes are down here that I don't have room to display right yet. So a lot of like Batman lunch boxes and stuff. Get Along Gang lunch boxes hiding down here. And then we have got a lot of great, a lot of my vintage paper material is hiding down here. So we've got a great summer 1991 issue of Disney News with the Muppets on it, and the stuff like the Life magazine from 1978 with Mickey on the cover. Lots of cool stuff. Lots of little nuggets down here. A Vacation Land magazine that was produced by Disneyland. Of course, the Miss Piggy CoverGirl fantasy calendar, which is great. Lots of cool little, a nice little vintage Sesame Street wood puzzle there. Something we had looked for a long time for, and actually Carrie found it for me, but the Look magazine from the opening of Disney World, which is pretty cool. So there's lots of great little, got some artwork down here that needs to be framed. So this great piece of artwork is Skeletor, which is really cool. Just a lot of cool little stuff. A vintage Life magazine from the opening of Disney World. So Life magazine from there. Another Life. This is from the opening of Disneyland. So there's an article on the opening of Disneyland in there. A movie special of Popeye, which we found in California a couple years back, which was kind of cool, and just found it in an odd random little shop. Lots of great stuff. Some more puzzles, like a baby piggy puzzle. So there's lots of cool little stuff hiding underneath here, and this is just a little smattering of it. Just a little taste of what's hiding down here. And really, the paperwork stuff is the stuff that hides down here the most, because there really isn't a good way, as I put that drawer back together, there really isn't a good way to display all of it, because there's so much of it, because we have so many magazines and books and stuff, so there's not a good way to display that. But that out of the way, look at that. Let's take a look and see what's in these cabinets. I'm gonna pop these doors off and give you a better look so there's not a glare from my studio light. So let's take a look at that. All right, so at the very top, I still have some box stuff left over here. I've got, you know, a box Chuck Norris Karate Commando Corvette and a Snake Mask and Nastina from Rose Petal Place and a bunch of Herself the Elf and my GoBots Turnover Racer, which still has a nice home up here. But I got some great vintage Disney lunchboxes up here. The Disney School Bus, which is a really tough one to find and in good shape, and ours is a little rough, but as well as a Walt Disney's Peter Pan, you know, a very, very vintage Peter Pan lunchbox, which is pretty cool, as well as the Mickey Mouse Loop the Loop from Ilco, which unfortunately it doesn't quite fit up there, so it's kind of laying down up there. But we'll get back over here to this first cabinet here, and you can see all our collector glasses, our Care Bear glasses, Josie and the Pussycats, Mickey's Christmas Carol. We've got some Flintstone glasses there, Muppets. All the Muppet glasses are really cool. And then a shelf down is where we begin a lot of our Disney stuff. So we've got a lot of the great Disney vintage items. You know, there's a Puppet Donald, a string Puppet Donald back there, and some vintage Mickey and Minnie stuff, some vintage Snow Whites, the Mark's Goofy there, as well as some great ceramic stuff, and the Disney Character Parks figures. So the Disney Parks character figures there, which I reviewed a while back on ToyWorldOrder.com a couple years ago, as well as Baby Donald, and there's some Mickey Mouse notebook transfers and package back there, and a great Goofy that I got Carrie last year for Christmas, which is kind of cool. And then down here we get some more Mickey and Minnie and Goofy stuff. Of course, lots of Disney with us. There's all kinds of Disney stuff. Now these back here are pretty cool. We've shown these off on Collection Expansion Extravaganza, and these are actually hand-painted porcelain figures, and no one is quite the same, which is why we have two minis here. They're the same design, but two different people painted them. And we find these a lot. They were licensed, they are real, but they were each one was different, you know, a different paint style. So we've got, you know, we've got Pluto back here, Donald, Goofy, Minnie, and Mickey. So we've got the whole gang of them finally. And then as well down here, like a classic Goofy push-up puppet. These are neat. Watch him push on the bottom and he dances. Pop vinyl Goofy that got Carrie last year for Christmas, as well as some great Mickey Gumball machine. There's a very vintage Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, or Mickey Mouse Club puzzle back there, I mean. Some great Marks pieces right there that are, they did a whole bunch of those little, you put them together and pose them. A Goofy sponge that our buddy Brent Scarano sent us, another porcelain Donald there, an Arco Goofy, a little posable Arco Goofy as a carpenter, which is pretty cool, and then a Goofy tie and some other stuff. Some more glasses and such. And then down here we get, you know, there's some classic vintage postcards here in the corner of both. Let me get a better shot of the Main Street Electrical Parade there, as well as Main Street. There's a couple more. There's a great 70s Mickey there that the Goofy bubble blower is sitting on, as well as a boxed Disney Afternoon collectible PVCs, the same ones that came in the cereal boxes. There's this awesome little battery-powered Mickey Mouse car, as well as my talking Vanellope there from Wreck-It Ralph, as well as a really cool porcelain Goofy that I found, Carrie, and some other stuff, some Goofy Koosh, and of course there's a lot of Goofy in here because, let's face it, it's Carrie's favorite, as well as some vintage. These were sold at the parks. You could buy these different character glasses, and they no longer sell them like this, but so you can, again, apologize for the dust, guys. It's a little dusty down here this time. And then some great, let me move the camera here for you. There's some other cool stuff down here on the bottom shelf here, including some great Disney family from, I believe it's from Germany. This felt Goofy that's back here in the corner. That's pretty cool. He's posable, as well as some little squeeze dwarves and a baby Mickey and a posable Clarabelle Cal from Arco. A great California and Florida plates that are designed with Disney in mind. One's Walt Disney World, one's Disneyland. Some great stuff. Disney Babies music box. This is kind of cool. This is one of my favorite pieces. But this is a tobacco shop matchbox, an empty matchbook from Disneyland, the tobacco shop where they used to actually sell cigarettes and cigars and matches on Main Street in Disneyland. And of course they no longer do that. But it's cool to have a matchbook from Disneyland. So that was kind of neat. It's one of my favorite pieces, as well as we've got a goofy picture frame. The picture frame's long gone, but our buddy John and Ben from Ben's Toy Bin sent us that last year, which was kind of cool. Disneyland back scratcher that I've had since I was a young boy, as well as a collector's Disney World plate. Some great coins that the Disney Movie Rewards Club gave out a number of years back. And this is cool. This is a Disneyland thermos that is, it's a ceramic thermos, so it's all glass down here. It's a glass thermos, so it's all glass down there. As well as some, this really cool Walt Disney World wallet, this little kid's wallet, this little, fake leather wallet, which is kind of neat. That's some cool stuff in the first case. And then the second case over here, of course, at the top we continue our collectible glasses, some Star Wars, a few of the Indiana Jones, the Muppet Babies, all the Alvin and the Chipmunks, a bunch of Popples, some McDonald Land ones, and then you get down here into some of the stuff like our Muppet stuff. So the 50th anniversary of Kermit, we've got some great some Chipettes there. There's some Chipmunk stuff that's Carrie's, Baby Fozzie, some Flintstone stuff, some more. These I bought from my buddy Josh Flood. These little Muppet Babies figures that were kind of cool. Muppet cake toppers and a bunch of different Muppet stuff. Some packaged Fisher-Price stick puppets, and then of course the actual the loose Fisher-Price stick puppets there. So I've got all all of them loose, and some great pieces, Piggy and Kermit, Baby Piggy and Kermit in different in piggy bank form. Some great stuff. Some little PVC animal, which is one of Carrie's favorite PVCs. Some cool little Muppet stuff. And the next shelf down, we get a lot of Looney Tunes. So this is one of my favorite pieces here, because this is I've showed this on a collection expansion extravaganza episode recently, but it's a Mattel talking Bugs that still talks. He talks really well. His voice box works really well, but he's kind of fragile. As you can see, the ears are kind of beat up and the tie's getting ready to come off. So we don't play with him a whole lot. He just kind of sits there. But he's one of my favorite pieces. And some Get Along Gang, some wind-ups, a wind-up Smurf. Some great Sesame Street stuff, like the little free Big Bird mirror we found at a garage sale one day, and some more Flintstone stuff and some more Looney Tunes stuff. And you get over here into the really cool Sesame Street stuff. This stuff was, all of these we've shown on Collection Expansion, but they were done by a company called Gorham in Japan, and there's a series of them. We're still missing a few, but we found the majority of them, from Bert and Ernie to Grover to Cookie Monster to Snuffleupagus to Oscar to Big Bird and the Sesame Street sign. So we're still missing a few, but we're still looking for some cool stuff from that one. So the next shelf down here, we've got some great collector glasses and some. I had a whole collection of like Aladdin Dixie cups that I bought when Aladdin first came out in theaters. So I've got like the entire set of these unused wax Dixie cups from Aladdin, which was kind of neat. Don't know if they still make Dixie cups, honestly. I haven't seen them in stores in a long time. And then this shelf is mostly mugs and vintage, like the gourmet Mickey salt and pepper shakers, and some great little collector plates, and a Disneyland USA ticket book that's used, that all it has is left is the C and the D coupon. All the rest of that, like the e-tickets, are gone and everything. Some great Epcot collector little mini plates there that are pretty cool from World Showcase that were brought out when Epcot first opened, as well as some other mugs and whatnot. Some eatery there, some plates, some preschool plates, as well as some more collector glasses are back there. And then down here, I haven't found a home for it yet, but I bought this My Little Pony gift set that had chocolate milk and cookies and all that stuff in it. So I bought it mostly for the mug, because the mug is My Little Pony, and they were kind of cool. Kmart sold those this last Christmas. They were pretty cool. And then down here on this last shelf is a great reproduction of Walt Disney official Frontierland game from the opening of Disney, as well as another little puppet, not like the Goofy puppet, but this one's kind of cool. If you squeeze both the sides, he's a little acrobat, so he wee. Some bottle openers. So there's one right here from Walt Disney World. There's another one from Walt Disney World. There's one from Disneyland. So they're very intricate, very cool vintage ones. A Walt Disney World plate. Oh, not a plate, but this is actually an ashtray. Something you'll never see sold again in the parks. This is from the opening of Walt Disney World, and it's of course the great image. This my mom got for me when she went to Disney World years ago when it opened, when I was still very, very small. And then of course a uncut Jello mold from DuckTales. So we got Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webbigail there, which is pretty cool. And then a great time to save Mickey Mouse clock there. Another really cool Walt Disney World ashtray, an unused ashtray, which again something you'll never see used again. And I've got some duplicates of the the bottle openers here, and as well as a ceramic. It's pretty cool because it's just kind of like you would hang it on a wall. So it's just a little ceramic display piece, as well as a classic Disney television tray there underneath there. So pretty cool there on the two big display shelves. Let's move on. Let's move on to the middle of the floor here, and I'll show you this great new display piece that Carrie and I picked up this past year. All right, so in the middle of the full floor, in the middle of the whole basement here, on the front section of the basement, there's this. Well, behind the utility shelf here is a display that Carrie and I picked up that I'll show you what's on all of these shelves here in a second. But the front here, as you walk down and you turn and you look into the room, the first thing you see, of course, is Fort Carrium and all my Bravestarr stuff, the complete loose line of Bravestarr. The Strato coach, of course, is flying up in the air there. I need to change out the black holders there for some clear ones, so it looks a little better. But it was all I had at the time, gang. But of course, you've got Fort Carrium. We got Bravestarr and Tex Hex and Sandstorm and all the great Bravestarr and figures from Mattel there from the 80s. So that is my loose Fort Carrium. I wanted to get a better place to display it since it was just kind of bundled up in a corner in the other room, and I kind of wanted to unfold it and display it and pose everyone. So that was the best alternative there, and I think it looks really cool. I think it's a nice. It fits just barely perfectly. And then the shelf down below, of course, is all of my my Voltron stuff. So you've got a lot of the Panache Place Voltron, the Castle Lions, a bunch of the Lions here. You've got, of course, the Mattel, the MattyCollector.com Voltron figure that's huge, and all the pilots are inside each of the Lions. That's when Sven is on card over there. But all the pilots, you've got the great imported both Vehicle Force Voltron and the Lion Force Voltron there. Both those big guys there are imports. They're posable. They're super cool. They break apart into pieces. They're really neat. One was from Toynami. The other one is from another Japanese company that escapes me at the moment. The Vehicle Force Voltron there on your right is actually a knockoff Vehicle Force Voltron that I found at. I don't remember where I found that at, but he's actually a knockoff, and he does come apart into the separate pieces, but you have to unscrew certain things to get him off. And then the rubber Vehicle Force Voltron. I got a thing for Vehicle Force Voltron. I like that figure. I got a bunch of weapons for the Panache Place Lions, so when I do eventually find the other Lions, I have most of their weapons, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, the Black Lion, I've got some of the keys there. The Red Lion is complete. He has all his weapons. His side gun, his tail gun, his mouth knife, so he has all that. Most of the characters I have, I've got quite a few. I'm missing a couple, but I've got all my Robo Beasts back there have their weapons, and Hagar has her weapon, and I've got shields for most of the villains, and of course the commander and the little skull tank there. I've got the Robot Force Voltron, which is pretty cool. So those two right there are the original die-cast vehicle, or the Voltrons for Matchbox. Vehicle Force Lion, and the Lion Force, and the Robot Force. Those are all original. Those are vintage. And then the sword in Vehicle Force Voltron is actually a prototype that was never released that I'm aware from LJN when LJN took over for that. For some reason they were going to make weapon packs for those Voltrons, and it never happened. So that actually is just a soft plastic replica of that sword there, the Vehicle Force Voltron sword. So my vintage Vehicle Force Voltron has a sword now, which is pretty cool. So let's move on, and I'll show you what's behind these on these shelves, and we'll start on the left side over here by 3030. So let's start over there. All right, so this shelf is really cool. It's actually a retail shelf that Carrie and I found at a antique store, and the top shelf here is all our stuffed Muppets. So we've got some. I got stuff falling behind me. We got some great. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is my life. We got some great vintage Muppet stuff. So very cool Muppet Baby Ralph, and some great vintage Sesame Street characters. Of course, some new stuff. The McDonald's Baby Fozzie, Baby Piggy, Baby Kermit there from McDonald's. Another vintage Baby Gonzo, a vintage Kermit there. Some more, some newer stuff there. The vintage Bert and Ernie are cool, as well as the Baby Piggy here. She's really neat. She's cool. The vintage Fozzie, and then a newer Fozzie there. And then there's a Cookie Monster hiding up there. And then these up here, across the top, from Ralph to Piggy to Henry Monster to actually to Ernie there, are all vintage puppets. They're all vintage. I believe they're all Fisher-Price vintage puppets. So those are pretty cool. Ralph's my favorite right now, but I'm still looking for Animal. I still want an Animal. This Animal over here is a newer one that Toys R Us was selling last year or two, so I picked that up just because he was kind of cool, because you don't see puppets a whole lot. Down on the other shelf here, on the next shelf down, let me Let me get wobbly here, guys. Sorry. Lower the camera. Sorry. It's an earthquake. Not really. Okay. Down here on the other shelf, on this second shelf down, we get some Alvin and Chipmunks. There's a boxed Ideal Alvin and a loose Simon, Poochie, Alf, Robot Man, some really cool shirt tails, a vintage huge Chuck E. Cheese, and some Pretenders from Hasbro, some small Ideal Chipmunks there, some more shirt tails, a great Captain Crunch, Baby Smurf, and then some great, I've got both sizes of the vintage Donkey Kong. So the two, there's a small one and the large one, you can see his head there, which are pretty cool. So that's pretty darn neat. I love, as you can tell, we love vintage vintage stuffed animals, as they're probably our favorite stuff to collect, although they're hard to find. If you're wondering why the camera's wobbling, gang, I'm putting the legs up here. They're hard to find a place to display them, and that's something we had struggled with for a long time, was somewhere to display these really cool, all these cool stuffed animals we had. And when we came across this huge displayer, we thought, well, that's perfect. Let's buy it, because come on, I mean, it's the shelves are made perfectly for stuffed animals. They look great up here, and we pretty much fit everyone we have up here, more or less. So the next shelf down here continues our vintage goodie stuff. So we've got some Get Along Gang stuff back there, and a bunch of Wuzzles, some gummy bears from Hasbro, Tummy, Zombie and Grammy, or we've got some Hug-a-Bunch, scary Hug-a-Bunch, and then a bunch of Popples. So I've got a bunch of loose vintage Popples, as well as one of the reissue Popples back here in the corner. It came with the video, but I've got a lot of Popples. We find a lot of Popples around at the garage sales we go to. And the bottom shelf is all pretty much Care Bears, except for this one little Captain EO stuffed animal there that we found. But I've got a box Grammy, and then a bunch of vintage Care Bears here. So a lot of, and then I've got a boxed Braveheart Lion back here too, but a lot of Care Bear Cousins, Tugs and Hugs, a lot of loose Care Bears and Care Bears Cousins. So I keep finding them. So pretty cool stuff. Let's hop around and look to see what's on the end of this before we hop around to the other side. Okay, so before we hit the other side, I want to show you what's on the wall opposite of the display that we just looked at of all the stuffed animals. I've got a Devall cabinet here that's got some My Little Pony stuff on it. So you've got like the My Little Pony nursery, and then I've got Dr. Hooves and Derpy Pony there, and the ice cream sundae that's complete. The vintage the vintage ice cream sundae playset. Some laser blazers back there that they've seen better days. They're not in the best shape, but I've got some packaged My Little Pony laser blazer holographic stickers. They still kind of work a little bit there. A big Hulk Hogan. What you gonna do, brother? Apparently not find you clothes or a belt. That's what I'm gonna do. Sorry, Hulk. And then inside the Devall here, as I open it, you get to see a lot of my vintage My Little Pony. There's a Rainbow Dash back there that John Proft made for me a couple years back that is kind of hiding now. Sorry, John, but she kind of got hidden because I keep finding vintage ponies and I'm running out of room. Some of the Equestria Girl stuff. So, we've got a Rainbow Dash back here, and a Fluttershy, and some more vintage ponies. The very cool vintage McDonald's Happy Meal toys that came out with the Transformers. They were little non-posable Transformer, and then these My Little Pony clips that I found in a bag at their garage sale somewhere. Some more vintage ponies, and they're actually sitting on top of the vintage carrying case. You can see the top of it there. Megan and Molly from the vintage line, some more Equestria Girl stuff, and some more vintage ponies, as well as and then you get down here to this shelf and you get along some of the newer stuff from the last several years. Of course, the Friendship is Magic toys, a lot of the Friendship is Magic McDonald's stuff, the miniatures, some of the Friendship is Magic stuff from Hasbro, some of the McDonald's stuff from Friendship is Magic. And then on the bottom shelf, I've got some, a cool collector plate and some more McDonald's stuff. There's the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Hero Pony, as well as some My Little Pony Hasbro softies, some vintage softies there, which are pretty cool. After I close the Devall there. Along the wall here, I've got a packaged Teddy Ruxpin figure, one of the posable ones from Worlds of Wonder that I just have never gotten around to open. I don't know if I want to open him or not, because I like the packaging. He's pretty cool. And then, of course, some boxed cuties, which were the girls' answer to Muscle from Mattel. That was pretty cool. And then down here, actually, my buddy Dealer Dan found this for me. And this actually is a pre-Toy Fair giveaway that they gave away the year Rainbow Bright was coming out, and it is a merchandising poster showing the line for that first year, showing the stuff that was coming out for the dolls and for the larger dolls and all that stuff. So that was pretty cool. It's a little beat up. It's got some missing corners and stuff, but it is a very, very cool piece. I'd never seen one before, so I definitely wanted to pick that up. So let's continue on to the other side of my stuffed animal display, and we'll see what's on the front end of it. Okay, on the other side of this, there's some cool stuff. Of course, this is where my Coleco Rambo line sits, the Savage Strike headquarters, which is one of the coolest playsets of all time, as well as all of my Rambo figures that are all loose and complete. So I've got pretty much the entire line of Rambo there. There's a few figures hanging out around there, and I've got them, of course, posed around the playset, which is pretty cool. I've even got several of the really rare figures. So I got TD Jackson there. I've got Snakebite, who actually is missing all of his accessories. He doesn't have anything. It's just the figure, but still. And then I've got one of the coolest Rambo figures of all time. I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but this is one of my favorite figures. Raw! Look at him. He's so cool. Oh, works on 2 AAA batteries, and his head lights up. Very hard to find one of these guys working. But he's got his little pistol, he's got his backpack, he's got his gun, but God, I love that figure. It's one of my favorite figures. But as well as I've got some of the, whoops, standing back up there. There we go. I've got some of the Rambo guns, all the big guns that you can buy separate, which are a major part of this. There's a twin aircraft gun back there that's pretty cool. Comes with that little black wall that actually kind of coincides with the gray walls here on the playset. But I had some extra playset goodies, so there's a lot more of like AK-47 buckets and MK-60 buckets, and there's some extra stuff in and around here that actually didn't come with the playset, but I had a lot of it. So very cool. One of my favorite playsets and toy lines of all time. I love the Rambo line. I think it's really cool, and I had a number of them when I was a kid. I had Rambo, I had General Warhawk, I had the playset, so I had a lot of this cool stuff. But I really do love the Coleco Rambo line. I think it's underrated for the most part, and I think a lot of people overlook it, and it is some really, really cool stuff with the line. So the ninjas are really cool. I love the ninjas. And then down on the bottom shelf of the utility shelf here, I've got my GoBots section. So I've got a lot of the GoBots. The unused collector case, and the box that's behind it is actually the gift catalog box that it would come in. So when you got it out of a gift catalog, it would come in one of those shipper boxes like that, which is pretty cool. A monogram Buggyman convertible model kit. One of these days I'll put it together. My GoBots Command Center. A lot of my great GoBots puzzlers over there, and a lot of the cooler big GoBots there. Zod there is pretty cool. I love Zod, my complete Zod. And I've got both power suits, grungy and courageous, which are pretty cool. My big Arco GoBots cap gun, and then I've got both the versions of Cycle down here. I've got the green one and the red one. I've got Crasher. I've got some really cool stuff. And of course, my Monstrous is finally complete. I finally completed him thanks to the Columbus Toy Show in Ohio. Actually, I found the last arm I needed of him this past year, so my Monstrous is complete finally, which is pretty cool. And then the Renegades-based thruster there, which is pretty cool. I've got the back plate, or the front plate that covers all that up, sitting back there because he doesn't sit right when it's open, so I kind of had to take that off to display him. But thruster is really cool. I love the playsets. The playsets are really neat. But my GoBots, another line that people kind of overlook and poo-poo on because they're not Transformers. But there is some really cool stuff out of the GoBots line that I think is, Puzzler is really cool. Monstrous is really cool. Those two combiner robots actually predate the Transformer combiners by about 1.5 years or so. So there's some cool stuff there, and some pretty ingenious design of those combiners. So pretty cool stuff. Let's move on to the other side of the display case, and then I'll show you my bookcases, which are pretty cool. All right, on the other side of the display cabinet here, we've got the top shelf here. There's a lot of vintage Mickey and Minnie stuffed animals, a lot of vintage Disney stuffed animals. Some from the 80s, some later, some earlier, some from the 70s, some all the way back to the 50s. There's just some great vintage Mickey and Minnie stuff up here. We love finding this stuff. Usually when we find this stuff, it's pretty affordable. It's never quite too expensive, but that's a really cool, this Mickey here is a Mattel talking Mickey whose voice box doesn't work anymore. And these were reproductions of the Mickey and Minnie dolls from the 30s, so kind of felt that they were fitting that they went up there, which is pretty cool. Next shelf down here is some more Disney stuff. We've got some of the, we've got a Chip and Dale back there, and a Roo and an Eeyore, and some Valentine's Day Mickey and Minnies that I bought Carrie a few years back. A WWF glass. I need to find a new home for that one of these days. Moving on. Some Mickey and some Mickey gloves there that actually don't fit me, but my pal Talking Mickey, that was a big thing at Disney World for a number of years. Probably in the probably 2000 through 2004, so 2005. That was a big deal. That you would carry him around the park and he would talk and tell you stories and jokes. Goofy and Donald back there, and just some cool stuff. The next shelf down is some more Disney baby stuff. A walking Donald, a baby Daisy, a baby Pluto. I've got some WWF. These are bears. One's from WrestleMania 17. You could only buy these at the show. So WrestleMania 17. I think this is 18. Yep, WrestleMania 18. It was the only way you could get those was to go, and WrestleMania 17 and 18 are the two that I've gone to in my life, so pretty cool stuff. And then the last shelf down here is a big old large Figman, and I love the Tigger dressed up as Woody. I think that's really cool. Some of the dogs, we've got a Tramp and a Dalmatian and a Lady, and a Disney movies display that actually was from Toys R Us, that actually was off the top of a Toys R Us display. And part of the Mickey Mouse phone, which is pretty cool, because his backpack here, you would attach the phone to it. That's pretty cool. And then some Disney shelves. These are actually the VHS shelves. From Toys R Us. Actually, we found those at a garage sale, and we thought, yeah, why not? They're a quarter. So, some cool stuff. Not quite filled on this side. There's still room for growth on this side, so we got plenty of space to put other stuff. So, pretty cool. Now, of course, the top of the room, right above the display cabinets and the bookshelves and everything, I have a whole bunch of great shelves of lunchboxes. So, most of my lunchboxes are hiding up at the top of the room here, across, and they go all the way down. And all the way across the room, literally all the way across the room, and they come all the way down here to the very, very end, to the very, very end of the wall there. Now these aren't all my lunchboxes. I have a lot of lunchboxes that are still hiding, that are still put up, that don't have a home yet, that we're trying to decide how we want to display them, what kind of shelves we want to use, where we want to put them. So, but these are some of my favorite lunchboxes, and while I never wanted to become a lunchbox collector, I kind of fell into them thanks to finding them very cheap and affordable, and then we suddenly realized, hey, these are kind of cool, let's just keep trying to find them. So lunchboxes are really cool. Let's move on. Alright, so my bookshelves here have kind of become a catch-all over the years, but there's still a lot of great stuff. The top of it here, I've got a lot of vintage Rainbow Bright and some great stuff from Anastasia, from the film Anastasia from 20th Century Fox. I loved that movie and bought a lot of the merchandise from it. So, and then a lot of vintage Rainbow Bright stuff. There's a box Murky Dismal, and then I've got Lurky hanging on the side here, hanging against the my Grover Sesame Street Live banner there, which is pretty cool. So he's hanging out. We've got some of the great Four Horsemen Power Lords releases there that I haven't opened. They are in removable cases. I just have never gotten around to opening them, but they're just they're there for now. That was a place where I could put them that I felt comfortable. And then my bookcases are kind of cool. The shelves are lined with some great stuff. Harry Potter, some great Lego stuff, and then there's, of course, I'm big on a lot of great books. A lot of these are good. Live from New York is a really cool read. The War for Late Night, both of these are really good. Street Gang, The Complete History of Sesame Street's a really good read. Disney War, which was all about the ouster of Michael Eisner, is a really amazing read, a really great book. And then some of the other shelves, there's just some random, some weird New Jersey, weird Missouri, a lot of weird books, a lot of Disney stuff, of course. My Star Wars Year by Yearbook, which is pretty cool. Of course, I guess I own all the Harry Potters. All these tapes here, pretty much all of these are talking toys. So there's a bunch of Mickey Mouse tapes here. There's a bunch of Big Bird tapes. There's some Alf tapes, and then there's some random other cassette tapes like An American Tail and Ren and Stimpy, You Idiot. So there's some cool stuff there. And then down here I've got some, I'm big on a lot of these really cool books like WrestleMania and the Hanna-Barbera Treasury, and I love Ripley Believe It or Not books. I've got a lot of wrestling biographies there. There's a lot of times, those are pretty good reads. Some more Lego stuff, some Lego Turtles, my vinyl Pop Rocketeer that Pixel Dan got me for Christmas last year, my Lego Movie Bad Cop Pursuit, which is pretty cool. And then you keep going down, you get bigger and bigger with the books. So the Star Wars books here are the complete collection of the newspaper comics from the 70s into the 80s, I believe. That is the complete collection of them, the original release of those, as well as the WWE Unscripted and Warner Brothers Animation Art and No Strings Attached from the Jim Henson Creature Shop, The History of Animation, my Jim Henson The Works book, which is a really cool book. Some great stuff, Comic-Con, Sesame Street, 40 Years of Life on the Street, the Marvel Encyclopedia, some cool stuff like the Who's Tommy Broadway book, and then some great classic Disney like this one, like the Epcot Center hardback book that was released at the parks. And then I got a bunch of records. Like I've got, just a huge collection. I'm not going to show you. I'm not going to show them to you, but if you watch Collection Expansion Extravaganza, you've seen a lot of those. And then down below, the books continue with the Masterpiece Edition of G.I. Joe, the action soldier that comes with a figure, and Marvel, the characters in the universe, Spider-Man, the icon. A lot of art books. I love those kinds of books. Loving my I can't get it out because the shelf, but the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Coming Out of Their Shells tour book. There's a lot of other tour books in here, like a Walt Disney on Ice, The Lion King on Broadway here, David Copperfield, Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. A lot of cool books, and some more art books there. And then the books keep coming. I mean, I've got so many, I've got so much stuff. I got some great stuff up here, some Walking Dead, Back to the Future, DeLorean there, the diecast DeLorean, that's pretty cool. And my kids' books, and I'm not going to show you all these kids' books, but I got a lot of kids' books. I love a lot of the old licensed kids' books, like the Sesame Street. I've got a lot of little golden books, like Darkwing Duck, and Roadrunner, and Pound Puppies, a lot of cool stuff like the Muppet Baby books, and the Muppet books. These are all like Little Mermaid books and Muppet Babies. Fraggle Rock. I've got a bunch of Fraggle Rock books, which are really cool. Like Fraggle. These were Book of the Week Club kind of books that you could get in the mail or get at the supermarket. So Goodnight Wimpy, Fraggle, some cool stuff there. And then it continues on. Like I've got a bunch of the Disney 23 magazines, the Disney 23 Club. I've got a bunch of their magazines, which are really good reads. My buddy James Edock, I've got a bunch of his Serial Geek magazines, which are really cool. I love that magazine. I need to pick up the rest of them one of these days. But and then the books, I've got so many of them. I don't want to go through all the shelves for you, but give you like all my toy books there, like the Totally Tubular 80s, and then my Power and Honor Foundation Catalog Volume 1. All my different action figure books, my Disneyana books, my Tomart's Encyclopedia to action figures, all my great, these are vintage case merchandise and wish books, which are cool from the 70s through the 90s, which are pretty cool. And then it just keeps going. I've got so many books, and one of these days I'll do a video that shows just all of the different cool collectible books I have. But next to the bookshelves, it's pretty cool. There's another Detolf. And on top of that Detolf, of course, is my Rimco McDonald Land characters. I'm missing a few still, as well as some vintage Popeye stuff, but there's these great boxed Shirt Tails costumes back here, and then across the top from them, there's a boxed Oscar the Grouch and a My Little Pony and some Popple stuff, and my Milky the Magical Milking Cow, and my Burger King superhero cups. I'm missing the cup for Batman, so if anyone out there has a cup for Batman, please let me know. Then of course the bookcases here, you start the Happy Meal toys, so we got a lot of the McDonald's stuff there, a lot of the Transformer stuff, but the Detolf, back to the Detolf, is pretty cool because inside the Detolf, is pretty much just a vintage 80s character haven. So we've got some great overseas, basically those are Smurf rub-off color form kind of things. And then I've got I got people falling here, but a lot of posable, the posable Care Bears and the posable Wuzzles and the Gummy Bears. I've got a whole bunch of those. Some cool Smurf buttons. Down here I've got some vintage strawberry shortcake items there, which are pretty cool. And these are all vintage. These are all original. Those are pretty cool. And down here I've got my Showbiz Pizza Place and my really cool Masters of the Universe puffy stickers there on the side there. They're pretty cool. And a lot more vintage stuff, like some vintage Hulk Hogan and Andre stuff, some Snorks, Smurfs, some video game stuff like Mario and the Wind-Up Pac-Man, some Shirt Tail vehicles, Wind-Up Shirt Tail and Wind-Up Get Along Gang stuff, some Pound Puppy PVC, some really cool stuff. And then down on the bottom shelf here is pretty cool because I've got a vintage stuffed Donatello suction cup car rider there, as well as some Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure cereal premiums, my Shirt Tail soap, which is pretty cool, my Masters of the Universe walkie-talkies back there, and then some other stuff like some Gremlins and some more E.T. and some Pound Puppies, G.I. Joe pencil sharpener hanging out down there, some cool stuff in the Detolf. And before we move on to the action figures, I want to show you some of the Happy Meal shelves that we've got. We've got two bookcases and a displayer that's full of nothing but different fast food premiums, whether they're from McDonald's, Burger King, licensed. These are all Disney. This whole bookshelf here is all Disney Happy Meal stuff, and from Burger King and everywhere else. So there's so much Disney stuff that we've collected that these fast food premiums have. So many different properties have been made over the years that we keep finding more and more and keep adding them to the collection, which is pretty pretty insane. There's a lot of Disney stuff. And I've got a display shelf over here that is also more Disney stuff here. The top shelf there is it's all Disney, including Inspector Gadget there. There's a McDonald's Inspector Gadget, as well as a bunch of Toy Story stuff from Burger King, and Tarzan, and Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Oliver and Company, and Aladdin, and just so much cool Incredibles. And then the Disney stuff just keeps coming. Brother Bear, and more Tarzan, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And you get down to this shelf down here, and it's all video game stuff. So it's all a bunch of video game and just random stuff. Like there's toys right there in the front based on the Animorph book series from Scholastic that were a big thing in the 2000s, as well as all my superhero stuff, so all the superhero cars and a lot of the superhero toys like Batman Beyond and such are back there. And then the last shelf that we have stuff on here is mostly it's all Barbie, and it's all like Kissy Fur and Hook. It's all movie license stuff and TV license stuff. Shrek, a lot of Inspector Gadget, some cool stuff there. And then this last bookshelf here is actually there's some more Disney stuff on top, and then it continues on to like there's Smurfs and some cool Hanna-Barbera stuff, Flintstones, Jetsons, Scooby-Doo. Then you go on down to like the Chipmunks and the Archie and Friends stuff, and a bunch of Muppets, Berenstain Bears. Some of my favorite. Our buddy Alex McKay found this. This was only released in Canada. It was this little animal here for the Muppet Babies toys from McDonald's. Only released in Canada. Only place you could get that. As well as you've got some Looney Tunes stuff here, and there's some Alf stuff there. Bunch of Looney Tunes and Tiny Toons and some really cool stuff. And then down here you've got some Simpsons stuff, which is pretty cool. A lot of the Burger King Simpsons toys, the talking stuff in the movie. Back to the Future from McDonald's, some great Ren and Snippy, and then more Simpsons. There was a lot of Simpsons stuff that they did over the years, so there's some cool stuff there. And then down on the bottom we've got, back in the back there, we've got some vintage Turtles, as well as some Rugrats stuff and Minions from Despicable Me and Land Before Time, and the whole collection of Small Soldiers toys from Burger King. So the Happy Meal shelves are full, and there's not much more room to grow on them. But we unfortunately are still finding stuff that we need and we want to collect. So we'll find a way someday to display all those. All right, let's start with the action figures. Let's get to the cool stuff. Not that the other stuff wasn't cool, but let's take a look at the stuff that I think everybody really wants to take a look at. Now, this stuff hasn't changed much other than the addition of Baymax and Hero up there that Puppet Devall and I reviewed earlier this past year. But of course, all my talking toys. There's I don't think any of this has changed since last year. A lot of the boppers, a lot of the different talking toys that I've amassed over the year, talking cooler, talking Fievel, and of course my boxed complete Mangler Mountain, and one of my few boxed Sky Commanders items there, the Flex Wing, that I would open it and display it, but unfortunately there's no real good way to display those if you don't have a bunch of doors, or if I don't build special shelves to hold them. So. And then the shelf down here, of course, is all the talking toys. You've got the Tycho talking Big Bird there. That was much different than this version, the Coleco version of Talking Big Bird, because he hooked up to Oscar and Cookie Monster there. My talking Alf, who's wearing my Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark hat. It was a premium for when the movie first came out that I've got there. That's just kind of the fedoras hanging out. Snoopy and Woodstock and Goofy and Mickey and Mother Goose and Hector the Ugly Duckling, and then you've got baby Teddy there, and you've got one of the later versions of Teddy Ruxpin, the stuffed Teddy Ruxpin hanging out back there, one of the Whatnot puppets, and then you've got the Orange Fob, and you've got some of the other puppets there, Bounder and Tweak, and then of course Teddy and Grubby here hanging out now, and then of course I've got a Teddy Ruxpin glass from Wendy's, and the carrying case right there is actually holding all of my Teddy Ruxpin tapes, most of them, so as well as the original paperwork for Teddy Ruxpin, and I've got a cassette tape from Rhino that features Teddy Ruxpin and his friends. It was just a bunch of songs and stories. But the one thing that is not on this shelf that you won't see till next year is the fact that I finally acquired the holy grail that I've been looking for, Teddy Ruxpin, which is the large Toys R Us airship displayer from the 80s. So I will be picking that up here soon in the next week or so. But you won't get to see that till next year, so you'll have to tune in next year, because as I said, stuff's always changing, so there'll always be new stuff to show, which is pretty cool. And then down here on the next shelf, just below the talking toys, is my Kenner Terminator 2 line. It's not complete. I'm still missing a number of different figures, but I've got a good selection of Terminator 2 and Terminator Future War figures there, as well as the motorcycle for Terminator. And then moving on down, we've got the Kenner RoboCop line, which again, not complete. I'm missing a basic figure, who I believe is Wheels Wilson. I'm missing, but I have everyone else, and Birdman there. I bought loose at King County. He did not have his caps, but everyone else I have bought on package, or I bought just pulled right off the card, and they all have their caps. My buddy Ox Pasquale sent me the 1500 RoboCop RoboCaps, which are pretty cool, which are going to stay in package there. And then you've got the Ultra Police helicopter, you've got the Robocycle and the Villain Cycle, as well as Robo One, and there's a RoboCop hanging out of there, as well as a Gatling Blaster RoboCop, who's really friggin' neat. We'll stop there. I'll move on and show you the rest here in a second, but I want to show you the shelf down here, because on this next shelf here we've got a bunch of Stone Protector figures, which is a kind of people call it basically a Ninja Turtle ripoff line. It was made at the height of Turtles to kind of cash in on the success of that design of figure, and they are kind of cool figures. They come with a lot of accessories, so they're hard to find complete loose. I found most of the accessories for my loose ones over the years. This past year I found a whole bunch of them, so they're mostly complete. I'm missing a few bits and pieces here for characters, but a cool line of figures. And they're little jewels. When you turn their right arm 360 degrees, the jewels will light up, which are kind of neat. They pop and they spark. So some Titan AE vehicles back here, which is a line that I only picked up because, well, they were like $3 and $4. They were like $3 and $4 a piece, so I bought some vehicles. And then some Stargate vehicles. I've got the entire line of Stargate now, which some people may find sad. I find pretty fun. But on the same shelf with all the Stargate stuff, I've got some recent acquisitions of the Super Mario Brothers movie figures there, which are pretty cool. Some Double Dragon figures, which I really like the Double Dragon line. I think it's pretty ingenious, and it's a line that I think people should kind of take another look at, because there were some really cool designs and action features in that line. The rest of my Stargate figures on the next line there, and then I have the complete lineup of Fox's Peter Pan and the Pirates figures, which I'm not sure how many people can claim that or want to claim that, but I will claim it because they are all loose and complete with all their weapons and accessories, and those are really hard to find that way. So kind of one of my cooler acquisitions over the years. And then down on the next shelf, I'm going to try to get as good a shot of this as I can in a tight space, but I've got all my real Ghostbuster stuff. So the top of the firehouse here, you can see all the monsters back there, as well as my my ectoplasm, which actually still has ectoplasm in it, and a bunch of the ghosts. And then my firehouse playset, of course, which is complete finally after, it was complete last year, I think, but some of the ghosts and some of the original Ghostbusters. Now, I don't have all the original Proton packs. I've found duplicate packs and put them on it, so at least they all have a Proton pack on, but the original lineup of real Ghostbusters from Kenner, which are pretty cool. And then, of course, alongside the firehouse here, I've got a bunch of the real Ghostbusters figures. A lot of the ghosts, a lot of them are loose and complete, but I'm still missing bits and pieces to a lot of them. But some of the cooler things I found this year, like I found the Slimer puppet from Kenner, which is really hard to find. And then, of course, the stuffed Stay Puft, I think, was from this past year too, so he's kind of tough to find. But some cool stuff, the collector case, a lot of neat stuff for Ghostbusters. So, continuing on, we have the complete lineup of Kenner, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures figures. I have every figure, the phone booth, both the tapes that were released are back there, as well as I've got two different sound systems back there for them. One that came with this 2-pack here, and one that was sold separately with a tape. So I have the complete lineup of Kenner, Bill and Ted's figures, which, again, another line that I don't think a lot of people really care too much about, but I think is a wonderful little line. And then next up, I have the complete, again, another toy line. I don't know if people really want to admit they own, but I have all of the Last Action Hero toys. And while it's not a great toy line, looking back on it, of course, those of you who have watched this and enjoyed this over the years know I have an affinity for these really crappy toy lines that I just don't think anyone loves. And I love the heck out of these Last Action Hero toys. I think while they're not the best toys in the world, they are kind of neat, and they had some cool little features and some figures. And I love the cars. I love Jack Slater's stunt convertible because it's got a little, which is why it's leaning up, it's got a little thing that pops up that makes it ride on 2 wheels, which is pretty cool. And then the Evil Eye Roadster is really neat. Some neat stuff there, some firing stuff, and some stuff that fires out of it. That's some pretty cool stuff. So some cool stuff there. And then down below it on this display here, I've got a bunch of very cool Star Ears. So the the complete Starrier base here, and well as a number of different figures that are complete. Starriers is kind of something that when I find them complete, I pick them up. So I haven't found a whole lot of them, but the ones that I find, I like. So, and then next up, my buddy Chad Plouffe gave me this really cool Expanders toy, which was a very cool, short-lived line. I believe it was from Matchbox, but they were these military vehicles that were motorized. With a press of a button, they pop out into something like that. So they were pretty cool, and they came with all those little guys that could sit in the chairs and all these little like army men fires. And you can see I've got some of the bad guys too, but I don't have the vehicle for that. So I've got a complete run of again, another line no one would probably admit to having, but I have all the Waterworld figures from Kenner. Another horrible movie that got a weird toy line that actually had some cool stuff. The boats are really cool, and the figures themselves are pretty neat. I will admit that they did some cool stuff, and I just love old Kenner stuff. So, and the boat is really big. It's huge. That's why he's there, because there's just nowhere else to put it. Below that, I've got some great Spiral Zone figures there. I've got a Spiral Zone figure, and I've got two of the cooler vehicles. So I'm missing some bits and pieces to the vehicle here on the left, but I've got most of them complete. So I really do like the Spiral Zone stuff, and that's another line. If I could find more, I would buy more. And then the other little toy that's on here, there's still some space to grow on the shelf, but is some of my Battle Beasts, just a few of the Battle Beasts I own. So I believe it's the Phoenix playset, and as well as one of the Carriers. And of course, I only own like 5 Battle Beasts. So one of these days, I'll find some weapons for him, and I'll finish off this playset because it's missing some guns and stuff. But it's mostly complete for, overall. It's got most of the main chunks, the jail doors there, and the heads there, and all that stuff. So it's a cool little playset. All right, now these shelves is probably where the most dramatic changes have happened, but I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff and added a lot of stuff. So I've got a few anime figures left up there, like Trigun, and then I've got all of the Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves figures from Kenner, another line that reused a lot of superpower bodies and stuff, or at least reused some of the molds for the bodies, but some great stuff, as well as a couple of the vehicles there. I still need one of the vehicles, and I want to find Sherwood Forest playset one of these days. But you move on down the line of this top shelf, and I have all the Toxic Crusader figures, and I believe they're all complete. I'm missing a couple little glow-in-the-dark bits and pieces, but I've found pretty much all of the different items that they are supposed to come with, as well as some extras that I found over the years. Moving on, another great Mattel line from another movie that didn't do good was the Hook line. And I've got some of the rarer Hook figures. I'm still looking for a couple of them, like Learning to Fly Pan and Skull Attack Hook, and I got Thud Butt there, which is pretty cool. As well as I've got the Croc. The Crocodile is pretty cool. I love that line. And then, of course, I've got some of the Mattel Harry Potter, the Slime Chamber playset from the second film, which is pretty cool, as well as the Wand Duel playset, which I don't have any of those figures, but that's why the cardboard cutouts are sitting there. And then down here, I've got some aerator stuff. I've got the aerator's base, but then if you move down a line, you see some of the other aerator stuff I have, some of the other vehicles and the figures, as well as the Metalman from Mattel and Matty Collector. So I've got a lot of different aerator stuff. I'm still missing some of the big aerators vehicles, as well as bits for the playset. One of these days I'll find them. You move on to most of my Mattel DC Universe Superpowers figures. I've got most of the Superpowers line in figure form there. I missed a couple here and there, but I'm still holding on to these. I can't quite figure out if I want to let them go or not. So something I'm still deciding on. Moving on, you've got Supernaturals. I've got the vehicle, and I've got, as well as the mini pack and comic that I found at the Columbus Toy Show from my buddy Buzz from Hive of Villainy. He had that, so I was able to snag that from him. I have all the figures loose and complete, which are kind of hard to come by, especially Lionheart there in the middle. He is extremely fragile because of the gold plastic. Pretty much anything from the 80s that was gold plastic is stupid fragile, and it just snaps. I've seen several of those. The arms just snap right off. So he's kind of in the middle and well protected there, so he won't fall off. And then I've got just loose, but he's missing his wings and his harness and stuff. But I've got the dragon from the line from Supernatural, so he's pretty cool. My new Adventures He-Man toys, all of them are complete except for the one way back in the back there. He's not complete, but I have found bits and pieces to all of the figures I have. Slushhead is my latest complete acquisition. I found his backpack and his gun from a buddy in Canada, so that was pretty cool. Some Silverhawk stuff back there, some Toy Island RoboCop stuff, RoboCop in his little diagnostic chair, which is kind of cool. A Karate Kid figure, BC, let's see, the BC Riders Dinosaurs figure there, and I've got a bunch of NECA stuff and video game stuff, you know, from God of War to Street Fighter. You know, I've got Dragon's Lair there. I've got several of the Dragon's Lair figures. Some cool stuff. And then down here I've got some of the minifigures like Dino Riders and Bone Age and my Lola Bunny from the Space Jam line. She's the only figure I ever bought out of that line. I've got all the Dick Tracy figures except for the blank, and I think I'm missing a knife or two, but for the most part they're all complete. And then of course the original Skeleton Warriors, and you can tell the originals because they have the chromed highlights and stuff, and the beaded eyes and that. So those are the original. Cowboys Amu Mesa. I've got a few of those figures and they're complete. And then Small Soldiers. I've got a number of Small Soldiers figures that I'm still trying to track down weapons for them here and there. But I've got a buddy in Canada that's got a number of weapons for the line, so I may finish off some of those with weapons. So moving down to the next shelf, we've got on the front there, we've got some Ultraverse figures, some Wildcats, Monster Force. There's some Darkwing Duck figures in here. There's some Tailspin figures, Playmates Flash Gordon, some Warriors of Virtue figures, my vintage Temple of Doom Indiana Jones, who's complete, and then you've got some Demolition Man, some Gargoyles, the rest of the Tailspin, Mask, and then a bunch of vintage Turtles. I've got a lot of vintage, not a lot, but I've got some vintage Turtles as well as the Turtles from the new movie. So I've got a little bit of a turtle collection, not a lot, just some that catch my eye that I want. Bruce Willis from Armageddon. I still need to find Ben Affleck from that line and their guns, but some great line. And then one of my pride and joys, my Kenner Police Academy line. I have every figure except for the mail away. I don't have Captain Harris, but I have all of the other figures loose and complete, including Sweet Chuck, who's hiding in the fire hydrant there, including House with his Hoagie blaster. Police Academy stuff has taken a while to complete like this, to find all of these figures and accessories. So this is kind of one of my big accomplishments that I adore. I love that line. I love coming down here and looking at them. I think it's a fun line. And it's something I think every toy collector should look at because they are really cool. They're very comical. They've got a lot of great accessories and a lot of action features that are a lot of fun. So moving on, and we've got some Mantech figures that I just picked up at the December Toyman show, as well as a number of vintage Thundercats figures that one of these days I'll start tracking down weapons for all the Thundercats there that I need. So I need Lion-O's weapons and Mumra's and Panthro's nunchucks, and I've got a couple of weapons, but I don't have them all complete. An ET, and then we move on to another line that probably not too many people would admit to having a complete run of, but is the Kenner's The Shadow line from the film that starred Alec Baldwin. That's another line that I think, not a great movie, but the toys are actually really well done. They're cool, they're neat to look at, they're really well designed. All the Shadow figures are actually different. So they all have different action features, or like the Ninja Shadow feature, the Ninja Shadow figure, and the Cloaked Shadow figure and stuff. So the Shadow stuff, there's some cool designs in there. The bad guy bike, you know, I've got the good guy motorcycle. I've got both the vehicles. The Taka up there is a playset. It turns into the Technodrome, and I don't have all the bits, but that's what he is. I've got some Battle Force figures here, or Battletech, I mean. A couple of the bigger Battletech line. And then I've got some Megaforce planes and jets, which are pretty cool, which came out of an auction earlier this summer. So, and moving down, we've got some various lines. You know, the complete Playmates Addams Family line, one of the Conan figures from Hasbro, Beetlejuice, Sectars, Mr. T, Mighty Crusaders, Popeye, Croft Superstars, some Black Star stuff, Bionic 6. Arco Other Worlds, and then you move on to my cop stuff. So I've got some of the cops vehicles, the smaller one. I've got I can't remember what this vehicle's called, honestly, off the top of my head, but it's it is the Jailer. You could put villains in the back and take them to jail, which is pretty cool. And then I've got a bunch of the figures, and some of these you saw last year, some of them this year, like BP Vest. My buddy Dave Draper found me another BP vest at a Toyman that I didn't get to go to that actually had his sleeves on his coat. So I now have a complete BP vest with his coat. And a buddy from one of my friends on Facebook actually bought a whole bunch of G.I. Joe stuff And Highway there, he's missing, as you can see, he's missing his baton. I will have his baton shortly, it's coming. And then, of course, the helicopter that my buddy Chad Plouffe sent me, he had an extra that I still need some bits and pieces for, as well as some of the smaller vehicles. So, cop stuff is pretty cool. And then move on to Visionaries. Yeah, I love Visionaries. I love the Visionary line. I think it's cool. I have all of the main figures, and I have 3 of the 4 drivers, and I only have 1 of the vehicles. So I have the Lancer Cycle and Ektar in there, and he's complete. But I also have Farrell. I can't remember what the other villain's name is, but I have them complete with their weapons and their helmets. And I have all the figures. They are loose complete with their staffs, with their weapons, with their right holographic chest plates. Some of them are a little dirty, but they're not too bad shape. But I love Visionaries. I think it's a great line, and I love it to death. Love it, love it, love it. And then last on this shelf here is the complete Playmates Earthworm Jim, including Earthworm Jim's Pocket Rocket. But I have all of the Earthworm Jim figures there, thanks to a big trade about 2 years ago with a buddy Don Blanco. I love it. It's a great, great line. And of course, this Earthworm Jim figure back here, we still think is, we're not sure what he is. We're pretty sure he's a custom figure, but no one is quite sure who made him or why they made him, or the head is actually, it's not a custom head. It looks like it is a molded, sculpted head of an evil Earthworm Jim. So no one is quite sure where he came from or why, but I have him. So it's a pretty neat, odd addition to the collection. And then down there on the wall, I've got a bunch. I've got some carded stuff still that I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with, like some Austin Powers and some great Disney Atlantis figures, the ElfQuest comic figures, which were really hard to find, and then I've got all of these LJN style WWE figures that came out towards the end of Jack's of their run of WWE. So they did these towards the end of their classic superstars. I think I'm missing a Rey Mysterio who had a different mask and different coloring, but I don't need 2 Rey Mysterios. But I've got everyone: Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Austin, Undertaker, Triple H, Michaels, Flair, Rock, Trish Stratus there, Mankind, RVD, Eddie Guerrero, John Cena. Some cool stuff. And then, of course, one of the only classic package figures I have is the George the Animal Steel with hair, the actual flocked hair on his chest there, which is pretty cool. So let's move on around the corner here and we'll see what else we find. All right, for many of you, the section I'm about to show is kind of familiar because it's the section that you see every time that we host a review here at the Devall household and for Toy World Order. It's the display shelves that are directly behind our review table. And of course, the top shelf is my little Shrine to Kitty Pryde, as well as some great Tonner Disney princesses. The Vehicle Force Voltron here, the only reason he's not with the other Voltron stuff on the other side of the room is because, well, I ran out of room, and he is actually a puzzle. He was a puzzle. There were 4 large puzzles that once you flipped them over, they all contain pieces to form this great 3D Vehicle Force Voltron. So my Battle Armor Baymax there, who's pretty cool. The punching guy here is actually the villain from the Lunar series that was on original PlayStation that actually originated on Sega CD. And this came out around the time that the PlayStation Collector's Edition for PS1 came out. I've got a couple of these, and they're really hard to find now. My Looney Tunes figures here, unfortunately, Sylvester broke the other day, and I have not been able to fix them. The foot pegs on these are notoriously fragile, and the figures are really heavy, so he got knocked, and then it just snapped off. But some more great Tonner dolls from Disney there. The talking Pee Wee Herman, who still talks. He's boxed, he still talks. Cherry's back there. Captain Laser. And I've got my New Adventures, or not my New Adventures, but my He-Man 2000X, Snakes, Tila, and then the Goonies Copper Bones movie replica. So, and then you move on down to the shelves here. You got a whole shelf of Get Along Gang stuff. The Caboose, my ceramic Monty Moose piggy bank there, and the Dress Up Kids. Moving down, you've got some really cool, of course, the Defenders of the Earth. This hasn't really changed much. I haven't found, the vehicles for this line are really expensive and they're really hard to find, so I'm still kind of looking, and one of these days I'll find them, but it's all the figures. I've got all the figures for this line, so that's cool. And then you move on down to Chuck Norris Karate Commandos, or as my buddy Mike Irizarry likes to tease me, that one of these days I'll start the Chuck Norris Karate Commando Con, a convention just for Chuck Norris Karate Commandos. But I have every figures, including this weird little knockoff here in the front that takes both the bodies of the ninjas and the head of the Master Ninja from the line, the 2 villains, and kind of combines them into one really creepy knockoff figure. But I found that at Wizard World, not Wizard World, but C2E2 this past April in 2014. So But a complete line, a complete run of Chuck Norris Karate Commando figures, all loose with their weapons. The Karate Corvette is loose with all its little little ninja stars, so that's cool. The next shelf down is most of our Flintstone stuff that we have that's toy-wise. Flintstone Kids, the Flintstone movies, and these figures here in the front are actually they were from a German company, and they are vintage. They're from the late 70s, and they're these really hard plastic Flintstones figures. And I'm missing Barney, and they did a bunch of vehicles for that scale that one day I would like to find, but I found all those at the Columbus Toy Show this past year, but that was a pretty cool find. And then the bottom is a small smattering of just the few figures and complete vehicles I found for James Bond Jr. So I've got a few James Bond Jr. figures that I bought this past year that through auctions and stuff. And it's a cool line. It's not great, but it's something I was like, well, they're cheap, I'll buy them. That's usually how I come across the horrible toy lines that nobody wants. The top shelf here, we've got some more Diamond Select. I believe they were Diamond Select or DC Collectibles. One of the two made the Looney Tunes figures, and I've got the What's Opera Doc figures. My over-the-top figures I have, I believe his name is Bull. He's one of the hardest figures to find, apparently. And then Ideal Chipmunks, saw the Ideal Chipmunk van, and all of the posable, dressable, small Ideal Chipmunks. And I've got all the wind-ups. I'm missing one of the Chipettes, but the two Chipettes and all the wind-ups work, which is kind of hard to find because they got overwound and they stopped working. So next shelf down, this past year I finally completed Swamp Thing. So I finally got all the Swamp Thing. Like there's Climbing Swamp Thing there. There was a second figure release, and there's Capture Swamp Thing, and then I got both the human figures, and then of course all the villains and the play sets and the vehicles. So Swamp Thing is completely, I'm complete. Swamp Thing's done. And then moving on to another finished line is the very cool line from Hasbro that we all know and love as Inhumanoids. Inhumanoids. The evil that lies within. Sorry. But you can see Metlar back there and Decomposed, and the Tendril with the long tendrils there, the long teeth. I finally completed all the figures thanks to my buddy Dave Draper, who got me a Liquidator backpack, and then I found the gray Redland. So I have all the Redlands, I have all the Granite guys, I have both the vehicles. It was a very short-lived line. It's very hard to find all loose and complete, or fine period, because they go for really, really large amounts of money. But I've been really lucky with this line. I've been able to get it for really next to nothing, which I'm not bragging there, but it's really hard to find this stuff. And when I found it, I've gotten some really good deals from some great friends. So it does pay to make friends with everyone you can talk to online. And then moving on to the other part of the shelf, down here on the bottom is the vintage My Little Pony Baby Bonnet School of Dance there with the box. And then we've got the Pretty Parlor that comes with Peachy. That is complete. Dream Castle, which is complete. I have everything for Dream Castle, including the pony, and Spike is in there somewhere. I've got a little Spike is in there. And then the complete vintage show stable there, the vintage My Little Pony show stable. So I got a lot of vintage My Little Pony, My Little Pony toys and stuff, and I love that line. I think it's a great line. So let's move on to the rest of the toys here on the other side. All right, of course, these shelves over here really haven't changed much this year, but we've got my 2000X series of Masters figures that I have, as well as there's a Golden Girls figure peeking out the side of the vintage Masters figures. We'll see those in a second. Moving down, we've got some of the odds and ends. Like I've got the Power Ranger Gold and Black Megazord, the vintage one, as well as some really cool. The only figure I kept from Bandai's Thundercats line, that Lion-O. All of my cool mortals from my buddy Dr. John Kent, as well as a big mortal and a vintage Rocks and Bugs and Things monster there, which is pretty cool. A lot of my Killer Alien stuff that I need to find a new home for it, as it's kind of big with the Alien Queen playset, and of course a lot of the figures and the vehicles. My Sprue Kits, Master Chief from Halo that we reviewed earlier this year. Moving down, we get I got some Starcom stuff back here, which is pretty cool. I like the Starcom stuff. It's kind of hard to find, but and it's really expensive now. But a really cool line that again, I said it a lot in this walkthrough. Not a lot of love, but a great line. My Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future line. I've got all of the American release figures, and I still need a number of the vehicles, and I want the playset one of these days. But I've got all of the actual American release figures loose and complete, as well as I've got an extra Captain Power there. I've got an extra Lord Dredd there in his throne. I need some extra figures for the jets as well as the vehicle here. I want to put some of the bad guy figures in there. So. And then moving down, we get a shelf, of course. This is familiar to a lot of people from last year, my Sailor Moon collection, which I haven't added anything to really other than the 4 SH Figure Arts Sailor Moon figures. I'm still missing Jupiter, as well as some of the newer ones that are out. But I've got, you know, Moon and Mercury and Mars and Venus. I need a Jupiter, but those are really all I added to this year to that. But moving on to the other side here. On the top here, of course, we've got my vintage Masters of the Universe collection, the few figures and playsets and vehicles that I have. But I've got some cool ones in there. I've got anyone that listens to David Devall's Toys and Collectibles. As soon as I find him there he is back there. The legendary Sorod that we were at our buddy JR's mini mall, and I had in my hands and was telling him it's one of the most fragile figures, and then I dropped him on the floor and broke it, and so I own him now. I put him back together and he still works, but he's been glued. One of the cool pieces from my buddy Brad Rader, the Battle Babies line. I've got the Trash Jaw there. It's pretty cool. One of the few pieces I own from him, but he's got a great place there amongst my Masters figures. And some of the other Masters figures, I've got Extendar back there, and I've got some cooler Masters figures around there. I've got like the variant Grizzlor, and there's the original one up there, but some neat vintage Master stuff. And then move down is one of my prides and joys, the Filmation Ghostbusters line, minus the 2 Photon figures that are back here that I acquired this past summer, but those were acquired in box, and they are complete, they work. But all the Filmation Ghostbusters figures I have are loose and complete. The Ghost Buggy is complete, you know, the Bone Troller is complete. It's a great playset / vehicle and all the villains. The Scare Scooter, and then this past year I found the Filmation Ghostbusters packet comic that came with the figure, so that was added to the collection. One of these days I'll get a playset. I'll have to save my pennies for a long time for that, but I will have it and to be able to complete this line. So moving down, we get a lot of Power Lords, a couple of the 4 Horsemen Power Lords figures here. The Goliath compatible ones have kind of fallen. I didn't get to pick them up, so I apologize for that. But we get a lot of the. I've got all of the first wave of Power Lord figures. I've got the vehicles. I've got a couple of the second wave figures. Like I've got Disguiser back there. I've got Drench, and Drench has his gun. I need his weapon, but I found Drench's. Somebody found me Drench's card there. Got some of the pack-ins for Power Lords. A cool line, a great line from Revell. Moving on to I've got some Computer Warriors figures here, and then I've got Rock Lords. I've got a Jewel Lord that my buddy Pixel Dan got me this past year. The vehicles, the Stone Wing, which is an awesome vehicle. Some of the pack-ins, the pack-in mini comic, the pack-in merchandise catalog that came with some of the vehicles, and then I've got a lot of pretty much all of the first couple waves of figures loose and complete. I'm missing Stoner's axe. I need his weapon, but I've got everyone else except Marbles. I've got an extra Marbles that's different that needs a weapon, but I've found pretty much all the weapons for all of them, so that's pretty cool. Move down to another line I'm very fond of, which is RoboForce, which I haven't spent a lot of time looking for this year, but as well as some of my buddy Dr. John Kent and Toyfinity's RoboForce releases there, but some of the vintage RoboForce, as well as a couple of the packing comics from Ideal, a lot of the figures. I've got all the vehicles from the line. I want to find the playset for this too one of these days, so the playset's a must for this line because it's really cool. And then down here I actually have a smattering of, I'm not going to show it off real well, but a smattering of Spawn figures that my buddy Dave Draper and I picked up a huge auction about a year or so ago, and I kept a number of the cooler figures. So I've got a number of, and they don't stand very well. They've fallen, they keep falling. There's some broken his arms down here for some reason. They're some of the most fragile, ridiculous figures in the world. I'm not sure why I kept them, but I liked the look of them, and I'm like, I don't have any. I might as well keep some. So pretty cool. Let's move on to the next. Let's move on to the next shelf here and move on down. All right. So starting over here, we've got the. There's a figure from the Full House line, the Uncle Joey. From Full House. I don't remember who made those, but it's the only figure I have of that, just because I wanted a Dave Coulier figure, and I mean, how cool is that? Matchbox's Pee-wee's Playhouse. So I got the Playhouse this past October at King County the King County Toy Show, and as well as some of the other figures I needed. But now I've got the Playhouse to fit everyone in. So I've got like the Puppet Land Band back there, and Zombie, and Conky, and Magic Screen, and Globy, and Terry, and Pee-wee on a scooter. I mean, some cool stuff. And then the few pieces of the Mask line that I actually own from the vintage, as well as the G.I. Joe 25th anniversary figure, I think is back there from that line that they released. But some of the pieces of Mask that I own. And then moving down, we've got a complete line of Bucky O'Hare figures, the vehicles, There's some guts down here too. They're just random guts figures sitting there. But I've got all the Bucky O'Hare figures. They're all loose and complete. And I got a couple extra. I got a couple extra Toad Warriors there to pilot the double bubble there. I got an extra Deadeye Duck for the Toad Hopper there, so he can drive his vehicle. But you know, I've got all the figures in complete. Willie's glasses. I mean, I've got all their weapons and stuff, and that's been a large undertaking to find all those. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. I'm missing a basic figure from Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, and then the actual dinosaurs from Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. But I have the Cadillac, and that's a hard piece to come by. But these are kind of cool figures. Again, another line that nobody really cares too much about, but I think is really cool. My only head pop and Madball I have from the vintage Madball line. I love that line. The heads are you know, soft foam, and then they attach to the bodies, and you press a button and they go flying. And then back here I have our three heroes from Centurions that are all loose and complete. It's taken me a while to find all of their bits and pieces, but they are complete back there. I did find everything. So moving down here, we've got some WWE wrestling stuff, some WWF. You know, there's a Hogan, there's a Eugene back there, and a Ric Flair, and then there's a number of other Jakks Pacifics and Mattel figures on here, as well as some LJN. There's, you know, JYD and Hogan and Macho back there, and then I've got a bunch of Hasbro WWE figures. I love the Hasbro line, and I'm thinking about getting rid of most of my other wrestling stuff and just keeping the Hasbro stuff, because that stuff to me is the most imaginative and most enjoyable in my collection of wrestling-wise. So I love that stuff. And then down here below, I've got a bunch of robotics. So there's a bunch of different robotics sets, as well as Tonka's Legions of Power that I bought from my buddy Jeff May a long time ago at a Toyman show. So I've got a bunch of Legions of Power that I've been able to complete. Pretty much all those vehicles there are complete, and they're really cool. It's a great little line. So hard to find all of them though. And then moving on to the last display shelf here, we come across my Transformers. My masterpiece Transformers are up there. The third-party Shockwave, Quakewave, basically it's sound, you know, it's Shockwave, but they call him Quakewave. But the third-party masterpiece figure, which is really cool. My masterpiece Soundwave, which I thought was amazing. Optimus, Megatron, Grimlock. You know, I've got some vintage figures up there. The Transformers Activity Center back there is box and complete. It's never been punched out. I've debated a lot whether or not to put it together, but I've held off. Some of the collector cases are there, which are really cool. Then I've got a reissue. It's a Brave Fort Max. It's not Fortress Maximus. It's Brave Fort Max. It's one of the reissues of the reissue. So I have him, and he's pretty cool. And then moving down to the second shelf is all my vintage and reissued G1 Transformers. Some of these are original, the Sharkticon and stuff. Jetfire. A lot of these never saw a reissue. My G2 Megatron. The Power Master Optimus is actually a reissue, but a lot of the G1 figures that I have are reissues from Takara. They are reissues that came out probably around 2000, 2003 is when they started doing that. Megatron's a reissue. A lot of the vehicles there are reissues. My Soundwave is reissue. My Blaster's reissue. You know, and I don't mind that. At the time they were cheaper to buy the reissues than it was to buy the original vintage figures. They were the same figures from Takara, you know, same deco and everything, and I figured, well, I just want the figures, I don't care. And now the reissue figures, some of them are worth more than the actual vintage figures, which is mind-boggling, but that's how Transformers roll, apparently. Next shelf down, I've got some of the much appalled Bay Master, the Bay Formers there, and I like some of the Bay designs, and I like some of the the toys they released are really cool for some of them, and there's some really neat designs. Some of the Transformers, the previous animated series that I've got figures of, as well as one of the original animated Ratchet back there, but some great Transformer figures. And then moving down, we come across the Transformers, the most recent Transformer Generation stuff that I have. You know, a lot of the Headmaster, the Generations. G2 Megatron is back there. Springer, Sandstorm. There's a lot of great. Rhinox is back here. Some really cool figures. Rat Trap should be up here, but he's down below. I had family over the other day, and the kids decided they wanted to play Transformers. So one of my other G1 Optimus Primes that I have that's complete. My actual other one that should have been up on the shelf is actually on loan to Pixel Dan at the moment. So he is taking care of that. My very cool Very neat line from Transformers. For some reason, as I'm saying this, the name escapes me. Alternator line. There it is. I knew it was going to come back to me. I've got a number of the alternators from that line that came out in the early 2000s. It was a great line. That's a lot of fun. And then down below here is just another smattering of Transformers. Some more random figures. Some of the Beast Wars and Beast Machines and some of the other iterations of Transformers over the year that I found figures for that I wanted. There's a bunch of Animorph figures back there that were Transformers. There's Rat Trap hanging out back here with all these Transformers. He's gonna have to go back on the other shelf. But a lot of cool, some of the cooler designs of some of the odder Transformer lines that, while I never would have bought the lines themselves, I did want a few figures here and there. So I did find a number of cool ones over the years that I've bought and added to the collection. So pretty cool stuff, man. Pretty cool stuff. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed my guided walkthrough of the collection. I didn't show everything. When you're looking behind me at what used to be the toy bar where we used to host flea market finds and stuff, and there's stuff stacked back here of different items that we've collected over the past year that we have not filmed for Collection Expansion Extravaganza. So I gotta save something for next year, right? I mean, I can't show you everything, as well as stuff in this room that I gotta make you come back. I mean, come on, that's the whole point of these, right? I gotta show you how it changes. Plus, there's a lot of stuff in different arrays of remodeling in here. So putting shelves up, stuff's on the floor. It's a mess, and I don't want to show you a complete mess of stuff, but give you an idea of the main room of the Devall household of the toy collections. That has changed a lot since last year. It's changed a lot this year. It's still going to change more as I add stuff, subtract stuff, move stuff. It's always a lot of fun for me to come down here and rearrange and reorganize. So I hope you guys enjoyed my walkthrough this year. I hope you enjoyed seeing all the cool stuff that I've either added or stuff that you missed last year that you didn't see or that I didn't show. Thank you for being a fan of Toy World Order. ToyWorldOrder.com, YouTube.com/ToyWorldOrder, and YouTube.com/board the show. We want to thank you, all of you, for being fans, being friends, and enjoying the kooky, zany products we put out. And I promise this next year, there's a lot of cool vintage stuff coming that we're doing. We're doing a vintage review show that's going to be pretty great. Dave Draper and I are putting that together. That's going to be great. More seasons aboard. Season 3 is coming this February. You know, we've got more episodes of Collection Expansion Extravaganza, more great reviews with myself and Puppet Devall, as well as more reviews with myself and Dave Draper. And we've got a lot of great ideas that are taking time to implement, that we are slowly realizing and getting them to come to fruition. So make sure you stay tuned to ToyWorldOrder.com and YouTube.com/ToyWorldOrder. Again, thank you all for joining me. I hope you all had a happy holidays. I hope you all have a happy new year. And we'll see you in 2015. So for myself, for Dave Draper, for the firehair herself, Carrie Devall, and everyone involved with ToyWorldOrder.com, thank you for being a fan. And I'll see you real soon, and then we'll see you next year this time for another walkthrough. So take care, gang. See you later. Bye.